Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be customizing the Granger 3600LX in Grand Theft Auto Online. This thing is on sale this week, so I figured it would be a good time to customize it. So to start off with, of course this thing does have Imani text, so that is something we have to keep in mind. We're going to go ahead and start off with the armor. We're going to upgrade that all the way. Armor plating is another thing that you can add to this vehicle. Now, I already have a Granger 3600 that has armor plating equipped, so I think I'm actually going to leave it off of this vehicle. However, if I was to equip it, it would be able to take about 6 to 8 Oppressor Mark II missiles, which is pretty good, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. For this customization, we are going to be leaving it off. For the brakes, all the way up, of course. For the bumpers, we do have front and rear options. Now, we can add bull bars to this thing. I don't think that I'm going to because my other one already has bull bars as well, so I'm just going to leave that off. Now, of course, you can put rear bars on this thing as well, which is pretty cool. It's nice to have that option. We're not going to put them on though. For the engine, we are going to go all the way up on this thing. For the exhaust, we do have quite a few different options here. I think we're probably going to go for the dual side exits or maybe the dual oval bore exhausts. Let's go for those actually. For the hood, we have the street hood option, the vented hood, the stripped hood, the carbon stripe hood, carbon vented hood, carbon stripped hood, and the carbon street hood. Not really sure why you would put a carbon hood on one of these things. I think that is absolutely abhorrent. So we're not going to do that. We will put the vented hood on though, just because it adds a little more flair to this thing, so why not? For Imani tech, we can add the remote control unit to this thing or the missile lock-on jammer. We're going to go for the missile lock-on jammer just because if I am ever going to drive this thing, I'd like to be protected. We will go Xenon Lights for sure. For the livery, we do have quite a few options here. We've got the pinstripes in black or white, of course. We have the racing stripes in white or black. We also have the racing stripes here in white. You can barely see it there. Or the racing stripes alt, which you can also barely see. We have the off-road hero livery, the off-road hero alt livery, the half camo, the hunting camo, Patriot beer, zero gas racing alt, 69, that is pretty cool, or back to none. Now, we are actually going to keep this thing completely clean for this customization. I have an idea of what I want to go for here, so I think we're just going to stick with that. We will go for the primary mirrors on this thing because why not? For the nose, we can of course add a wind deflector as well, or of course we can add a snorkel. Now, I don't really like the look of the wind deflectors, so I'm just not going to add that to this thing. For the plate, we are going to go yellow on black though, of course. For the primary weapons, of course, we can put machine guns on this thing. They are pretty subtle, so you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and add these. Proximity mines, we can add an oil slick mine dropper to this thing. Might as well add that too. Now for the color, I know this is going to be kind of boring, but I kind of really want to go for a blackout version of this vehicle. I've already got a blackout version, but it does have the armor on it, so it kind of looks a bit, I don't know, silly maybe is the right word. I don't know if that's the right word. But I feel like blacked out, this thing just looks super clean. We can of course add a roll cage to it as well, but we're just not going to do that. For the roof, we can of course add a roof rack, but I'm not going to go for it. And of course we can add a light bar on this thing as well, but I'm also not going to go for that. Side steps, we will go for the black clean side steps. I do like those. Or we can go for the painted. Let's go for the painted clean side steps actually, those look pretty good. Suspension, we could lower this thing down quite a bit. I don't really want to lower it that far though. We will give it lowered suspension, but not any lower than that. For the transmission, we are going to go all the way up on that, of course. For the turbo, we will go all the way up on that as well. Now for the wheels, this is where things are going to get a little bit more interesting. I'm not really sure what I want to go for with this. Usually I would go ahead and put the concave mega mesh on here, and honestly it doesn't look that bad on this SUV. However, I don't think that I want that little amount of tire on this, so we're going to go ahead and look in the off-road section quickly. See, these tires look a little bit ridiculous on this thing, I feel like, so we're not going to go for off-roads either. We're going to go ahead and take a look in the street rims, but we're not going to go for any of the rims that are like too nuts, I don't think. We're going to go for something semi-basic, but unfortunately, yeah, there's nothing in here that's that basic, so we'll go into the tuner rims and have a look in here and see if we can find anything that looks the part. I kind of doubt that we're going to be able to find anything though, unfortunately. Yeah, no, everything looks crazy in there as well. So we'll check the muscle rims. Sometimes you can find muscle rims that will work with an SUV. Honestly, the drag SPLs aren't bad. I want this thing to sort of have like a bit of a rugged look. Maybe the spooners even could go for those. Those are pretty like basic looking. Of course, we have the Dodman as well. Those are also pretty basic looking. I think we're going to go for the Dodmans, at least to start off with. We're going to paint these black. Honestly, they look pretty good. However, I'm honestly feeling that maybe I should actually just go for the concave mega mesh because they just look way better. I think we're going to go for it. I mean, it just looks better, let's be honest. Bulletproof tires, we will add those to this thing. The tire smoke, I don't really want to change it. I think it's fine as is, so we'll leave that alone. And of course, for the windows, we are going to tint those all the way out. Now, I know this is a pretty basic customization. Pretty much everybody's probably got a completely blacked out Declasse Granger 3600LX. And for that reason, I actually think that I'm going to change the color because I already do have a black one of these. So I want to go for something slightly more exciting. Maybe we'll go for like, I don't know why, but cast iron silver has just caught my attention and like just grabbed my attention. So that's an option. Cast iron silver. We'll think about that. I was also thinking of maybe a blue, like maybe a like a dark blue. You know what? That honestly looks pretty damn good, I have to say. Even galaxy blue is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna go for dark blue just to switch it up. I think that that's a better option. For the secondary color, we're also gonna go for dark blue. I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like that looks pretty good. Let's take this thing down to the ground. We're gonna do a sound test and a full review. All right, here we are on the ground. Let's see what this thing sounds like. Honestly, for a Granger, I mean, it's not bad. Could be better, but it's not bad. Now, the Granger 3600LX, I believe, is actually slower than the regular Granger that's been in Grand Theft Auto Online since release. However, what makes it better, of course, obviously, is the Imani tech, the missile lock-on jammer, the proximity oil slick mine dropper that you can drop behind you, and of course the machine guns that are equipped on the front of this vehicle. All of these things definitely do improve the overall experience of the vehicle. Slick mines are awesome. You can do a lot of trolling against players and AI both with these. They are really, really good for that sort of thing. So I do really like the oil slick mine dropper. That is pretty cool. This thing's also a pretty decent off-road vehicle. Obviously, I've lowered the suspension slightly, so this one will not be as good as it would be if it had fully raised suspension. But you can do some off-roading in this thing semi-well. It's not going to be the greatest vehicle ever because it is still pretty limited as far as ground clearance goes, even with the suspension all the way raised up, but it's pretty good. Of course, this thing is all-wheel drive. I don't think that I probably even needed to mention that, but if I did, there you go. Now, like I said, the regular Granger is actually faster than this thing in a straight line. However, I will say that I do believe that this thing handles better, at least in my opinion. It just feels a lot more planted, and maybe that's due to the suspension on it, but it just feels like a more well put together package, if you will. And honestly, on the street, when you're driving this or the regular Granger, you probably will not notice a difference realistically when it comes to the speed of the vehicles. They're both very, much the same. The Granger's just a little bit better. Like if you were entering a drag race against the Granger somehow, for some reason, I don't know why you would ever do that, the regular Granger allegedly would beat this thing, I do believe. So that is a little bit annoying considering the regular Granger does only cost 35 grand and this thing costs just over $1 million. So I can kind of understand that, but with this, of course, like I mentioned before, you do get access to Imani tech and all that good stuff. I also haven't made mention of it yet in this customization review, but the machine guns on the Granger are quite good. They're mounted at a pretty decent height on the vehicle, which I do really appreciate because you can, absolutely destroy vehicles, and these machine guns are very, very good. They can blow up a vehicle in almost no time. So if you're chasing somebody down, if you're trying to run it against some headhunter targets or something, you can probably take out the headhunter vehicles very, very quickly with this vehicle. And like I said before, the height of these machine guns is pretty damn good. It's about center on any car. So if you want to hit the back of them or if you want to shoot the players right out of the vehicle, you can do this depending on if you're accelerating or decelerating with it, because that kind of changes the angle at which the guns are shooting. Now, another thing that I do want to mention about the Granger is this thing does actually have bullet resistant windows, which is pretty nice. They can take up to 15 shots from an assault rifle, which is pretty good. After 15 shots, of course, the shots will start coming through the window, but it will give you some degree of protection, so that is pretty nice to have, I have to say. Overall, the 3600 this week is on sale, so I would definitely recommend picking it up. It is a pretty good vehicle, and of course it does have access to Imani tech. I do plan to buy this on my expanded and enhanced edition character because it will be my first Imani tech vehicle and it is on sale, so you really can't go wrong with this thing. It looks great. It's a really good vehicle, especially if you like to roleplay as a cop in GTA. I know there's quite a big community that's into that sort of thing. This is a great vehicle to do that because you can have the light bar on the top of it, and yes, the light bar is actually functional. That is very nice to have. 3600LX is a great vehicle, and I would definitely recommend picking this thing up if you don't have one already in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you learned something about the Granger 3600LX, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.